Exciting new opportunities for the investment-minded, but it's also volatile and accelerating in complexity. That's why we created Token Metrics, an intelligent crypto platform backed by an industry-leading combination of data, AI, and media that feeds optimized portfolios to crypto investors. Featuring Token Metrics ratings to help you find the best investment opportunities in real time, an indices page that showcases various model portfolios, and deep insights into price predictions and technical analysis. Plus, with access to Token Metrics TV, monitor 24/7 exclusive crypto news and analysis. Whether you're a first-time trader or a seasoned crypto investor, you can stay informed and in control, backed by your all-in-one crypto companion, Token Metrics. Take control of crypto today at tokenmetrics.com.
We are live. This is the Market Update. I'm your host, Bill Noble. This show is brought to you by tokenmetrics.com. If you want to know when to buy crypto and you want a roadmap for NFTs and crypto, subscribe to this channel. Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live. And if the content helps you, please drop a like. Okay, let's take a look at who's on the stream. Solely Soul first. Let's get it right on. Bull Runner here. Appreciate all our regulars. Solely Soul. Beware the fake dump. Right? Love it. I think did I say that? I like it. Right? Beware the fake dump. Shaba, welcome. Joseph from California. Chris, up late at night in Australia. Rocket ship is fuel. There's a good YouTube name for you. Okay, J-Dog, Andre, Frederick from Boston, welcome. Bangalore, India, up late at night. Houston Refinery out there in H-Town, right? Crypto Crazy, good to see you too. Daniel, thank you for the compliment. Okay, Bill, what's good? Bottom in November. Actually, I think the bottom could be sooner. I'm canceling Rectember. I'm going to bet that there's going to be a bottom before that. We'll see. Okay, I think November may shape up. Like I said, crystal ball gets a little foggy. I'm getting more bullish. All right, and I'll tell you why. Right, even though the market can still go down, I'm actually getting more bullish. Just like back in April, I was getting more bearish. It's the flip side. Okay, Flipped Burger from Kentucky. Welcome to our regulars. Thank you for tuning in. We have Vegas. India is here. Nigeria, right? Leeds, England, welcome back. Long Beach, Denmark, Fort Worth, Texas. Welcome. Right? We have Guam. Observer 47 is here. Right? We have California. All right. Nigeria is here. Africa, welcome. Louis from New York City and Germany in the house. All right, people, we got a lot to go through today. All right. So let's begin with news. So we're going to give you today all the crypto news that you need. All of it. Okay. So let's begin with this. Oh my God, am I talking about Zcash again? Oh God, I'm so hooked on Zcash. Zcash added to Bitcoin of America ATM locations. You are not going to do a trade in the metaverse where someone can look in your wallet and see which money you have. Okay? So, judge denies SEC attorney-client privilege claims versus Ripple. Okay. Ripple Labs wins access to SEC documents. Okay. U.S. District Judge on Tuesday rejected the SEC's argument that the documents are somehow protected by attorney-client privileges. So in other words, if anybody's familiar with legal proceedings, the SEC was like, you know what? We can do discovery, but you can't. We can look at your stuff, but you can't look at ours. Thank goodness we have checks and balances in the United States, right? So here it is on Cointelegraph. Hypocrisy, judge denies SEC motion. Now, how funny would this be, right? How funny if Ripple Labs or a development in Ripple wound up the catalyst for a crypto bottom. I mean, I think BitBoy would have like a statue in Times Square if that ever happened. But the fact of the matter is, Ripple has a shot at winning. So for all the negativity in crypto, it would be funny if the original negative crypto story turned out to be true. Okay, now, people, we got to talk about this stuff. I got a ton of this. Don't stay tuned, because in our altcoin overtime section from our spreadsheet, I got more information on this. The search term Bitcoin crash is trending, and here's why. The digital gold, aka Bitcoin, has been marked dead 458 times since 2009. Okay. Last year, the word crypto was trending all over the internet as the crypto market was flourishing. But now, as we've slipped into a serious bear market, Bloomberg recently reported that while short-term investors wasted no time in dumping their holdings, even old-timers or hodlers are exiting. Very interesting. What do I call this? Revulsion. Remember the quote last week from Kramer? Crypto has no value. Go back to earlier in the year, right? Bitcoin was at 40K, and everyone's like, it's going to 100. Everybody, it's going to 100. The hands down consensus, even at the end of last year, Bitcoin's going to 100. Bitcoin's going to 100. Okay. Bitcoin went to 16. Now it's going to 0 and it's disappearing forever. No. Okay. Hyperbole in the media fits under contrarian theory. And if you buy a technical analysis textbook, you will see contrarian theory as a part of analytical constructs. Meanwhile, Walt Disney announces the 2022 accelerator class. Look at this. Who's in the accelerator class? Okay. A crypto company, Matic, scalable blockchain, allowing developers and enterprise to build Web3 experiences. There's even guys on Twitter and YouTube picking on Polygon. This was an original Ian Bellina pick. I don't know. So let's just summarize this for just think about it, right? Think about it. People, retail, searching for Bitcoin dead, Bitcoin short. Walt Disney waving that crypto, waving it in. Who's smarter? The guys that run Disney or the people who are thinking Bitcoin is dead? I will leave that up to you. Back to more news. New crypto bill proposed in the US with more regulation. So algorithmic stable coins are going to be outlawed. Not a surprise. The bill divides digital assets into commodities and securities and ancillary assets. That's tokens with no revenue. So the bottom line is they want to put most of crypto under the CFTC as a commodity, which is where Bitcoin and ETH are. And then the SEC has jurisdiction over securities. Naturally, they won't define which cryptos are securities. So they're giving the SEC, license to ill and declare you are a security. However, if you are not a security, you are at least safe under the CFTC, which is probably just looking to keep crypto from being a scam and keep integrity in the market, whereas the SEC, depending on who's in charge, reserves the right to take you out to the woodshed. Okay, but I think this is a net positive, right? Now, it could cause stablecoin consternation, and we don't know where staking fits in. All right, but on the surface, this could be worse, right? It could be worse. Now, inflation in the United States. True inflation is 9.1% according to the government, and we all know it's higher than that. Here's an example. They said motor vehicle repair jumped 2%. Okay, I'm now paying for an economy car what I was paying 7 or 8 years ago for a luxury car. My daughter's in college. That's why I have an economy car, just in case you're wondering. Okay. Like, people are going to dealers in places like Austin, Texas, where rents have gone so high, okay, like blue collar labor can't even afford to live in the area. So people are going to like GM dealers saying, I need to get this fixed under warranty. And the GM dealer's like, sorry, we can't do it. We don't have rental cars. We don't have labor. You can make an appointment. It's 4 months out. Now, if you can get service, you're just paying triple. So car repairs up 2%? No, car repairs much higher than that. All right. Now that's the bad news. There is important news. Okay. The US inflation rate is in the top 10 in the world, which means the Fed will have to hike rates and talk tough in the near future. Now we're going to try to go over in the market update some things about legacy that you definitely need to know about what the bond market is telling you. Basically, it's telling you that inflation may be topping and economic growth is going to fall out of bed. Don't go anywhere because you need to know this in crypto. Crypto lender Celsius is deeply insolvent, according to a Vermont financial regulator. Well, thank goodness we have Vermont to tell us things that we already know. There's probably $1 billion hole in Celsius's balance sheet. And the ongoing question in crypto is, where does all this risk lie? Like, when everyone has to liquidate collateral to cover losses from Celsius, what does that do to the market? Is it over? Are we in beware the fake dump? Or is there going to be a final dump? All right. I'm going to go through that because people, with the bounce off CPI, with the fake dump, like the failed rally, figuring out how to DCA into crypto got more complicated. I will help explain this. Now, what I will also help explain and just be flat out direct, the NFL expands ticket stub NFTs to over 100 games for 2022. Last season's NFT ticket stubs minted on Polygon, and this time will be minted on Flow. Here's an idea. Timing the bottom in ETH and Bitcoin will be tricky. Is it 19 or is it 16? I don't know yet. Honestly, I know what the levels are. I just don't know if it's going to go there, if the liquidators are going to panic. Well, this is what I can tell you. And I told this to the Token Metrics webinar, the premium customer webinar this morning. And I'm going to put this up here, and I'm going to be a little naughty, okay? And I'm going to show the teaser, okay? We have a bunch of guys who started under me who basically, after a year and a half of going down the NFT rabbit hole, they're NFT experts. And I believe that the more ugly the world gets, the higher the value of art will be. So if ETH is between 1,000 and 750, obviously, you know, if you're trading ETH, that's a big deal, right? But if you're talking about buying art, so this was the high-end art, like I'm talking art, like not utility, not gaming assets, art. Art and stocks, or art and the economy, are not correlated. So I don't know if you should buy ETH at 1,000 or you should buy it at 850 or 700. I don't know yet. I can give you the levels, but what I do know is this. NFTs are coming back. Like, I'm willing to die on this hill that when this market bottoms, if there's a rally from 16 to 32 in Bitcoin, NFTs are going to go ballistic. And it's time for high-end investors to look at high-end art. This is what this presentation was about. And we're working on everything from value investing to just flat out degen in NFTs. Okay. NFTs are not dead. That's how I'll explain that. Okay. Now, with the news out of the way, not out of the way, with the news done, let's get into your market update. What are we looking for? We're looking for the V bottom. We're looking for the V bottom, the fake dump. Now, naturally, you're going to ask, was today, the day CPI was released, July 13th, was today the V bottom? My answer is, I don't think so. Okay. I think today might be, I don't know, might be a false sense of security, and there might be one last dump lower. That said, I actually believe if you have dry powder, you may have to have a small long position. You may have to buy, you may have to, just because I would be afraid that this thing would turn around and take off. So it's not turning your back on the bear. I thought DCA would start at 18. Based on this reaction off the inflation number, DCA may start today. Now, that doesn't mean I don't think it's going lower. I actually think it is going lower. But I'm actually getting a little worried that if this thing turns around and just goes, that would be the max pain trade. I don't like the term max pain. Everyone's just like, oh, well, what's max pain? Well, in this case, max pain would be everybody who's waiting to buy at 16 misses out. Then no one wants to buy at 21, which sends it to 32. Let's stick with the dollar cost averaging idea. So let's go right to the charts, right? In a different kind of way. By the way, Token Metrics customers had these levels on Friday. Showing them to you today because I love you guys. But you want to see them again, right? This is from our newsletter it's just called the Market Update, except it gives you a lot more sophisticated analytics because this is for paying customers. So resistance levels and support levels for Bitcoin on the left. 19,400 is a big deal over here in support levels. Whoops. Okay, there's 18,600. There's 16,700, somewhere in that area. 21,700, if there's a lurch up, was a big deal last time. Okay, if there is a squeeze, it might go there. My focus is 19,400. ETH 1060 may be the key level. Over here, top right in resistance. If 1060 acts as resistance, okay, you may see 975, 894, or 823. So if you're setting up DCA, 1060, 975, 823, 770, not investment advice. Bitcoin, 19.4, 18.6, 16.7, 14.2. Right? And if it takes off without you, well, then tune into the market update. We'll help sort it out. But if this thing tries to go down again on forced liquidation, it's a buy. That's my opinion. Like yesterday, and we'll go into this in just a second. So all the market updates when the market was cascading lower got 10,000 views. And I appreciate anyone who watched those videos. And yesterday, I titled the video, When to Buy Bitcoin. That was the lowest viewed market update in quite some time. I would encourage you to go back and watch that video. Not because I'm depressed about the view count. Well, actually, that's a lie. I am depressed about the view count. But it's amazing how a bullish headline in a bearish environment gets no love, right? If the headline was, oh my God, crypto on fire, crypto going to zero, oh, they got a ton of views, right? Especially since everybody was searching Bitcoin crash, right? But I'm going the other way because on this channel, we do analysis, right? You get real analyst flavor. So let's talk about that. So CoinGecko, a reputable organization, but here's what they had to say. As we reach the midpoint of the year, it looks like 2022 is shaping up to be annus horribilis for the crypto market. I'm like, annus horribilis with people searching Bitcoin crash. Really? So if they're forced selling, we're doing the opposite of sell in May and go away and beware the failed rally. We're looking for the final dump. Now, back in April and May, there were two failed rallies. There was a failed rally up. I remember this at like 3K. And then there was another failed rally, and that rally took out the recent high. I mean, it looked like it was going to the moon, and then it failed. And then that is what started the cascade down. This type of sentiment is bullish. Even if there is forced selling, and I know that there's forced selling coming, even if there's forced selling, this sentiment psychologically, like how do you adjust your mindset, is bullish. The euro on the verge of dollar parity, it's a story of, the greenback. Okay. Big YouTubers are like, yeah, as long as the dollar's going up, Bitcoin's going down. Like, well, no shit. We've been saying that on this show for how long? How long? Everyone's talking about the dollar going up, right? DXY at, at DXY here at 97. Everyone's like, the dollar's topped. I'm like, no. Dollar index at 101. After this drop, Bitcoin's topped. I'm like, I'm sorry, the dollar has topped. No. Now the dollar's up here at resistance at 108. And I understand the dollar could go higher, right? Putin's shutting off the gas to Europe in the middle of July, but we'll talk more about that. Everyone's like $1 equals €1. Oh no, the euro could go to 90 cents. I get that. That could happen. But too many people are talking about it. Who do you want to trade with? Analysts, researchers, or the newspaper? Anybody you ever know make money trading off the newspaper? They open a newspaper and go, oh my God, dollar on fire, buy the dollar. That's the top. Open up the newspaper. Oh my God, everybody's searching Bitcoin dead. Oh God, I better get short. When does that ever work? Never. Never in the history of markets has that ever worked. Okay, let's talk about legacy. Now we're going to talk about legacy, and I know you don't want to talk about legacy, but we have to. I know it's complicated. It's going to give you a bit of a headache, but I'm going to help you out. The candlestick chart is the chart of the yield on the 5-year note, right? The 5-year note is very sensitive to changes made by the Fed. It's actually the most sensitive. So, the 5-year is the wild bucking bronco of instruments tied to Federal Reserve rate hikes. The blue line is something called a break-even, which is a mysterious calculation in the bond market where they figure out what the bond market expects for compensation for inflation. So it's not obvious from looking at the chart, but the aqua line, right, was moving in many cases before rates did. Matter of fact, the aqua line, you go way back, the aqua line was at 3% when rates were still at like 0. Literally. Okay. Now what's happening? Well, the 5 years going up, the 5-year note is at 313. The inflation, they call it the break-even statistic. If I get this correct, is at 2.5. So like, Bill, what does that mean? That means the bond market is telling you that even if inflation statistics are ugly, inflation's eventually going to top. And how does inflation top? Well, when the economy falls out of bed. Just falls out of bed. Not just our economy, but the global economy. Now, how does that happen? Well, it's called demand destruction, right? Prices get too high. Credit card interest rates go through the roof. The Fed has to tighten and talk tough. And the next thing you know, boom, you have an economic growth crash. Now, what are additional evidence points of an economic growth crash? And don't worry, I'm going to tell you how this affects crypto, so don't go anywhere. This is the yield curve. Normally, right, the yield on a 10-year bond is higher than a 2-year bond. If you loan somebody for 2 years, you'll charge them one rate. But if you loan them money for 10 years, you'll charge them a higher rate because there's more risk, longer time to get paid back. So the 10-year note should be higher than the 2-year note, the yield, the interest rate, right? Wrong. Right now, okay, if you look over here in the bottom left, as you can see, like if this was an altcoin, would you buy it? This is the yield curve, is what they call it. The difference between the 2-year and the 10, right? Currently, the yield curve is falling out of bed. It's below 0. Short-term rates are higher because people expect the Fed to continue to jam rates higher. right? But it's going over the 10-year note. Now, why is that? Well, because the 10-year note yield is sensitive to ideas about future growth and future inflation and not as tied to the Fed as the 2-year and the 5-year. So the 10-year note is telling you things are going to slow down. And when you open up legacy media this week and next week when the Fed starts talking, because Jerome Powell will get asked, what do you think of the inverted yield curve? That's what they call it when, 2-year is above 10-year. This is negative, and this could get more negative, and a negative yield curve means recession. And a negative yield curve sometimes can mean ugly recession. Okay? So the Fed one day may have to acknowledge this, even if they don't have to acknowledge it now. All right. So if you thought that was complicated, this is even more complicated. And I'm going to sum it up real quick. First of all, when you watch this go down, if this was an altcoin, would you buy it? No, you would not. Okay? This isn't even bowling ball falling out of a window. It's bowling ball like held out the window and then thrown down. All right? This is a spread between where the market thinks short-term interest rates are today and where they're going to be next year. Okay? So you would think next year, because inflation's terrible now, rates next year will be higher than rates are today, right? Wrong. This calculation is rates next year minus rates this year. Okay, this is telling you, okay, so it's rates this year, no, rates next year minus rates this year. So the bottom line is this is falling out of bed. And this minus 0.71 over here means the legacy markets are telling you that rates are going to go down 75 basis points next year. So that means whatever the Fed does, whenever they get done doing it, they're going to immediately unwind it. Now, why would they have to do that? Well, probably because the economy, earnings, and the stock market may just fall out of bed. Specifically the economy, and it could be a geopolitical event. Oil. Okay. I thought oil was going to 160. It went below 100, and it's not going back above 100. And it may wind up at 85. Oil is weak because the economy is rolling over. Not just our economy, everybody's economy. Copper. We may have discussed this. The legacy market refers to copper as Dr. Copper because copper is a phenomenal instrument for sort of telling you about economic growth, particularly in China. And obviously, copper is falling out of bed brutally, right? This is Copper Weekly. It's already unwound all gains from 2021 and 2022. This is probably headed back to its COVID low. Okay, now let's go back to crypto. So the economy is going to fall out of bed. The Fed's going to talk tough short term, right? And we don't know how much liquidation is out there. We don't. This is Ethereum dominance. This chart would indicate a new low in ETH is possible. The only thing that's changed between now and the last time I showed you this is on any next decline, you may have to start some DCA. Like not a lot, but you may have to start 10 to 20%. And laughably, I'm now cheering it. I'm cheering for this market to go lower so I can buy. Now, I know that's dangerous because I've always said, it's dangerous when people say I want it to go up so I can sell. That never happens. And it's always dangerous to say I want it to go down so I can buy. It may not happen. But there is forced liquidation possibly out there in the market. Now, just to circle back to legacy, okay, there is talk that Putin is going to send Europe back to the dark ages by shutting off all natural gas on the 22nd of July. That's what was reported by Zero Hedge. So for anybody in Europe, you want to be watching SXXP, right? Because if European stocks crash because Putin literally turns off the lights, central banks are done tightening. The Fed can do one more, but that's it if European stocks crash. Now let's go to ETH. Let's get into the weeds of crypto charts. So this is your Ethereum price prediction. On the weekly chart, there's a 13 and a 9 bottom. Okay. You have been paid to more or less ignore these signals as ETH has kind of thrashed around in range. More and more, I'm taking these signals more and more seriously. Seriously. All right. Now let's look at ETH on a daily chart. Today is a 13 bottom, and it seems like the whole world knows it, right? So it's the 13 signal on a daily chart. Okay. Now that can mean one of a couple of things. A 13 signal does not mean an automatic bottom. It certainly didn't over here. You had a 13 bottom at 28,000, and then Bitcoin went 1 through 9, right, to a final bottom around 16. A 13 was designed as a warning signal of a top or a bottom. Sometimes you get immediate gratification. Sometimes you don't, right? So can ETH go, right? Is it going to go up from here? Or is it going to go and do this whole 1 through 9 thing again? So it's going to be 13 and then 9 more down days and maybe even 4 more down days after that. So do you have another 9 days, or do you have like 1 or 2 days before you have to start grabbing ETH? We'll see. Okay. Bottom line is we could be 2 or 3 days from a bottom. Now, if you go to the wave count on ETH, okay, on the 4-hour chart, right, you have wave 1 down was to like roughly 850. Wave 2 was back to 1250. 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5 may be coming. So there's still reason to believe from an Elliott wave or D wave point of view that ETH can go down. Now, as a reminder, 1050 down here at the bottom is a big token metrics AI support level. And folks, I will say this briefly and bluntly. If you don't have our NFT research and you don't have our AI quant resistance levels, you're going to miss the opportunity here. And end of statement. 1050 is a key level in ETH, right? If you go back down here, all right, you go below 1050, 894 is the next point. So what happens at 1050 matters, right? Like, in order for ETH to really clear and to say, okay, everything is okay, it's got to clear 1050. If ETH goes back down below 1050, you may get that capitulation selling. Because remember, the Fed's got to talk tough next meeting. There's no way inflation could be at 9% and Jerome Powell can remotely back off. Matter of fact, the chain of events is going to be Jerome Powell comes in and talks tough, and then the demand destruction and the oh my God is what follows. And he wants demand destruction because I don't know how he stops inflation otherwise. He's got to just crush it. Now, when that happens, when he comes out and talks tough, that is the opportunity in art and crypto. Okay, Bitcoin, same deal. Wave 3 was 1700, right? So Bitcoin's already done 1, 2, 3, 1700. The 4 wave was back to 2250, where I turned my back on the bear, and then boom. The wave 5 target is expected at 16K, and my only concern about 16K is that too many people may be expecting that. I don't want to get too cute. We'll go off the charts, okay? But 16K shows up on the DeMark work where there's a 13 and a 9 bottom. 16K also shows up on Token Metrics AI, okay? So if Bitcoin is below 19,400, Bitcoin can go to 15,800. So we'll have to see what Bitcoin does today. Does that 13 bottom have an impact, or is the 13 bottom on the daily chart just holding up the market? In other words, what I'm telling you here about the yield curve and these levels, believe it or not, is a little bit more evergreen for TA than you would think. Because a lot of it's based on daily, weekly, and these quant AI numbers, which don't really change much. So if you missed the Bitcoin bottom video from yesterday, go check that out. If not, I'm giving you the summary now. Now, again, my little homemade spreadsheet, which, most of the time works, comparing equities like Coinbase to currencies like ETH and Marathon Digital, a miner, to Bitcoin, right? Just comparing them to where they were last year. Okay. If you look at where Coinbase is today, it implies ETH at 980. If you look at where Marathon is compared to where it was a year ago, Bitcoin should be at 18K. So what's the bottom line? Well, the bottom line is, right, just like the reverse in April, like I couldn't get out fast enough. It was so hard to sell it, so hard to tell people when it was mooning to sell in May and go away. Now it's just as hard because now we're waiting for that V. And we're hoping that, today wasn't it. And if it was, you have to have a little position. But you want to maybe save a lot of your powder for any final liquidation lower. Now, Zcash, pet project, if the market falls apart, we were talking about 38 or 32. I'm interested tactically to see if Zcash can get above 53. There's a lot of positive divergences on a short-term chart. So I'm really interested to see if Zcash can recover. Okay, and here's the chart from yesterday where I'm showing the post-COVID buy level. The first bullish signal for Zcash off the COVID low was at 35. So if the end of the world comes, right, and it's a liquidation event like 2008, these are levels that I'm looking at. We have a tab on Token Metrics where you can look up and say, all right, where was the original buy signal in my coin? I look at 2021 and I look post-COVID 2020. Okay, for all things crypto, you can go to research.tokenmetrics.com and check out some of the stuff we have there. Now, let's see if I can pivot over, right, to something else that I wanted to share. Okay, so here is Otherdeed for Otherside. It's an NFT deep dive available on research.tokenmetrics.com. You can look at free research, or you can look at research, like two free articles a month. Okay. Now, here we did a deep dive on this. And I'm doing a video talking about this as basically land inside the Bored Ape metaverse. And when I was talking to my analysts for NFTs, the firms, Token Metrics, NFT analysts, I was like, dude, what's undervalued? He's like, well, I'm looking at Otherdeed. Okay. Metaverse land and art, okay, are really interesting to me. And he thinks this stuff's been hammered to the point where you would look at it, not investment advice. So again, here is what an example of Token Metrics research looks like. We give you the visuals, we give you the renewable resources and all the features of the metaverse, right? We talk about these characters called codas, right? So the land comes with different characters. Now, again, this is all going to be featured in a deep dive video. And I want to fast forward, right? Because just like my research, just like the stuff I give you, there's a bottom line. Okay. There's a conclusion where you can make a decision for yourself. And all of our NFT research, I believe, is on research.tokenmetrics.com. So even if you can't find all of it, somewhere in there, somewhere in our recent newsletters will be the opportunities in NFTs. I'm not afraid to buy NFTs because support is at zero, right? And I think art will take off. Now, if I'm wrong, well, as I say, as one of the traders who taught me would say, if I'm wrong, I'll lose money. But to me, if there's a capitulation event, or if the capitulation event has already happened, art to me is interesting. Okay, I want to go to one more sheet that we have. Okay, I want to go to like our altcoin overtime sheet. Okay, so I'm going to share here one more time. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Altcoin Overtime. Now, when we check this out, what do we notice? Well, our AI picked up that retail seems to be interested, excuse me, in the 3x short Bitcoin token. The grade went from 46 to 72. Interesting how the AI is picking up the bearish sentiment in the market that we noted earlier from just looking at regular news articles. So retail wants a 3x bear ETF. Nobody wanted to talk about this at when ETH was at 3,000. Now, I know that y'all out there, the faithful 5,000 is what I'm calling you. The faithful 5,000, yeah, you listen. You got out. But these people who are looking to short it now, okay, yeah, they might get gratification to 17, but this makes me bullish. And check this out. Voyager went from 12 to 31, right? Like, this is a very complex situation. This is not investing or trading advice. It just seems really interesting to me, right? That Voyager hit a support point at 59 from our AI and bounced. Again, interesting that at least for today, they were trying an everything is all right trade with retail getting super bearish. Okay. And then also on Kraken, it's also really interesting to me that Star Atlas, right, the grade went from 50 to 68. So what, like metaverse, right? NFTs. Interesting, I think, right? And then on token metrics, you can track, how Star Atlas is doing. Now, our spreadsheet is designed, that's done by an internal analyst, but the Star Atlas DAO has a market cap rank of 858. So, and here is the grade moving with the token basically dead. So this is one of the value propositions of token metrics. Okay, let's see what we got in Q&A. Let's just check where the market is right now. So I knew it. Okay, let's go back to the charts, right? So, okay, ETH now up 5%, right? Okay, so this kind of looks like the fake dump to me, right? The pain trade is everyone's looking for 16,000 or 950, and it just rockets to the upside, right? This could be like, you may have to go with this if you've got dry powder and then just put a stop underneath, right? Bitcoin is not above 20, but Bitcoin is above, okay, Bitcoin is above, that 19,300 area that we talked about earlier. Okay. So, a lot of stuff going on here. Let's go to like the daily chart, right? Obviously, this 13 bottom is getting attention. Now, it's getting attention today. I don't want to be a crazy man and say, oh my God, you have to FOMO in and chase it. But I mean, when you look at ETH, right? This is a band. This is like a GAN, right? A GAN DeMark structure. You had a 13 bottom yesterday, and this thing is rocketing off of here. And the last time this happened, it did not pay to buy strength. So we'll see what happens. I don't know that you have to FOMO in, but I do believe if you're a long-term player, you may have to have a small position and hope it goes back down. And if it doesn't, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, the market caught everybody off guard on the way up, and I'm telling you, it's going to catch everybody off guard on the way down. The only question is, where's the bottom? I wish I had the number for you, but I don't. So, but I'm working on it. Okay, so market makers trying to rock out the week, very, very possible, right? When death cross, okay, I'll have to take a look at that. Not sure, when you're going to get the death cross or what it means. I'm always skeptical I'm always skeptical of like the golden cross or the death cross. You know, I'm an animated guy for YouTube. I'm an animated guy for YouTube, but I try to keep the market indicators even tempered. Okay. Right. Okay. Adam Monero, I appreciate you too. Okay. Somebody's saying, you know, like some of the charts are tricky. That's true. Inflation ain't stopping, according to Steve J planned it all the way. Okay. So if inflation can't be stopped, the more they have to hike rates, the bigger the crash in the economy. And they may have to crash the economy to stop inflation. They may have to do it. All right. Now, what it means for crypto, I don't know. Okay. Spin said, I just got done pruning the shorts this morning. Okay. Recon Man 11 says, hit the like button. Hit the like button. All right. Bob Marsh thinks this could be an exit pump. Okay. That's possible, right? That's possible. Okay. So MMC John says this market is unreal choppy, wreck the shorts and then wreck the longs. Yes, that is possible. Andrew says this looks like a bull trap. It could be. Right? Everybody who's looking for the bottom, FOMO's in. Right? From a DCA perspective, I think DCA has to start soon. Right? DCA has to start. You've got to ask yourself, you know, where do you buy the biggest chunk of the position? I suspect that level's lower, but you know what? Given that I work for a crypto company, I wouldn't mind being wrong. Honestly, I wouldn't mind being wrong because everybody is bearish. Nobody wants to hear anything bullish. Nobody. And everybody wants to be short. I mean, I'm like, yeah, the charts show this could go lower, but I mean, retail gets more bearish every day. And when I talk about retail, I'm not talking about the smart people that are Token Metrics customers and the people who watch this show. Hats off to you. Seriously, we appreciate your business and your viewership. But when everybody wants to be short, you're supposed to be long. When everybody thinks Bitcoin's going to 100K, you should be short. Right? When everybody thinks the dollar is going to the moon, it may not. It may not. So let's wrap it up. Steve J says Kramer marks the bottom. Yes, unfortunately, right? I'm the type of a guy who has to produce content every day. So I get where he's coming from. But when you look at these videos, when you look at this video a week or even a month from now, Jim Cramer at the bottom of this market says crypto has no value. That's not true. Crypto may have to be repriced. Perhaps crypto has been repriced. Crypto may continue to be repriced depending on how much liquidation is out there. Remember, Celsius has $1 billion hole in its balance sheet. But crypto has value. So revulsion is out there. And if revulsion is out there, you need to switch your mindset. You want to play this from the short side? You want to take a shot? That's fine. Not investment advice. The mindset should be shifting to where do we buy, right? And just like it was hard to do the trade at the top of the market, it will be equally hard to do the trade at the bottom. So stay tuned with the market update. We are going to be coming out with evergreen deep dives. Otherdeeds are one of them. Token Metrics customers are going to get in-depth NFT analysis. You missed the NFTs the first time? Well, guess what? If the market bottoms, right, and the whole world comes crashing down, in my opinion, art, particularly the cheap stuff, is not correlated, right? Not correlated to the economy. So if you want to own something at cheap prices, right, where the currency itself is cheap and could get cheaper, it's art. Token Metrics customers will get the details. All right, friends, I'm your host, Bill Noble. I will see you tomorrow.